Hi again, Susan. It's Hannah and Brianna again. We are doing a reflective friend dialogue. We were a little confused about what to do, but so we are going to go through the skills for developing stress hardy and resilient children. We are going to talk about what they are, an example of where we've seen it used, and how we might use it in our own work. And we're hoping that that is what you're looking for with the reflective friend dialogue. So we're going to start with set realistic goals for children that take into consideration variations in temperament and abilities. I was thinking about the twins I work with. The little girl really struggles with eating, and then the little boy likes to eat everything and anything and all of it, and always wants more. So like, I'll put out food for them, and it'll be like, well, they need to eat at least this much, but this is how much is on their plates, and so like, I served them oatmeal pancakes this morning. And she only had maybe 5 or 6 bites of it, but he ate the rest of hers and his.
Wow, so he's a hungry boy.
Yeah, he's hungry. It's crazy. But was really looking at the realistic goals for her, and like we dip things for her, and I'll hide it in yogurt so that she doesn't know it's all there,
right.
So that I can still get the nutrients in. But she's just very picky, and I don't even know the right word for her temperament, but it just, we have to...
Finicky?
Yeah, finicky maybe. Just we have to kind of set different goals for the two of them and figuring out...
Yeah, they're very different sounding.
They're very different.
Even if they're twins. It's amazing actually how that works for them.
Yeah. So I think...
Do I need to talk about this too, or just one?
How might we use this? Like in our placement maybe.
Child.
Maybe if we were working with kids that had different abilities, like kids in a wheelchair versus kid who's not in a wheelchair.
Or maybe just someone who's really slower with reading.
Yeah.
Like, I know I'm a slow reader. Maybe I would try to, like, maybe even say, I'm a slow reader. And then maybe that'll give them some confidence knowing that's okay. This adult or this girl beside me is just like me. And then you can they can feel more confident, hopefully.
Right.
And you can do just as much as you can with a disability. It's just you have to do it a little bit differently.
Yeah.
But you still get done the product or whatever you need to get done.
Yeah, so with those goals, like maybe for a child who's struggling with reading, they could be, instead of read this chapter by the end of the night, you might give them a couple more days to read it.
Or you read it with them.
Or read it with them.
And then say if there's, if you can hear that he or she is having a hard time saying the words, you can slowly kind of bring in the word or
like I think in kindergarten they work in different levels too. So like
there's different levels. Like, I remember that now.
Levels like I think it's 1 through 5 or maybe 1 through 10.
6?
Something, and it's 1 through something. Anyways, and the different, so each kid as they pass the levels they move up. So that's kind of is setting the realistic goals based on their abilities.
But then other kids are gonna be like, well, I'm a level 4. What level are you on? So
but then if every kid has to read a chapter, so like say you're on level 4 and I'm on level 1 and we both have to read a chapter, the level 1 chapter is going to be better suited to my ability than it is.
Right.
You might find it really easy, but I'm going to find it hard, but you're going to find the level 4 chapter harder.
Right.
And I wouldn't be able to do the level 4 chapter. So that gives us different goals that are realistic based on their abilities.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
It's still similar because it's still a chapter, but it's different, and I think that's an easy way to make it seem like the kids are doing the same thing, so that they don't feel isolated or centered out or different.
Yeah, okay, that would make sense.
Yeah. I
don't know if we're gonna have a lot of books to read, like for them to take home though. Maybe for you, because you're gonna be in preschool though, right?
I don't know.
We'll see. You'll find out. It's all exciting.
All right, help children learn to reframe upsetting experiences.
Well, if the girl who I was had in the family, like if she had a really upsetting day or like you knew she was about to crack, I would pick her up out of the car, we're about to get out, and I would just like let her sit down, have some books, get a snack, and then she was able to calm down in her own space without all the other kids around her. But it's a lot of just like distracting, I feel like, in that case.
Yeah. I think part of what they're getting at, like it's talking about divorce later in the
Oh,
the
oops.
thing. It's okay.
Oh,
That's
down
good
here,
to
yeah.
reframe, like help them build those social skills to deal with those upsetting situations. But I think with this one, they're talking about more severe experiences.
Okay.
So like it says later, reassure youngsters that they are not responsible for the divorce, nor is it possible for them to bring their parents
Oh,
back
yeah,
together.
that's very important.
So taking the blame off of themselves and not necessarily blaming someone else, but understanding that they are not responsible for what happened.
That's still a very like challenging thing to explain to a
is.
child.
So you could do this even with death of a pet or a family member or
Yeah,
someone
totally.
they know, or an injury.
Yeah.
I feel like a major injury could be a good one to do that with.
Yeah, for sure. Death would be huge though.
Mm-hmm.
My cousins lost their mother 2 years ago, and I'm pretty sure my cousin, the girl, kept thinking, well, what if mommy did this, or what if I did this for mommy? Mommy could have been alive, and
Right.
she has to go through counseling to figure out, like, as she gets older, like that was not nothing had to do
Right.
nothing would have saved mommy.
Right. Absolutely.
So it's hard.
That's
a huge issue for kids.
Mm-hmm. But it would definitely be important because helping them be able to reframe that on their own is gonna help them in the future.
But that distracted her from school, and she wasn't doing as well in school.
Yeah.
And she's only 8. So, yeah, very sad.
All right. Linked to supportive context in the community that provides protective oversight for children and families experiencing cumulative stress, adversity, and trauma. So I guess that would be like us connecting with Children's Aid, or like Food Bank if they're having trouble with poverty.
The dental.
The Healthy Smiles.
Healthy Smiles if they need help with their dental.
So that would be good to use in our work. And like I feel like that's just part of the job is knowing.
Maybe if they don't have a church, churches are really helpful too.
Yeah.
This is if you didn't have like family, right? Or if family didn't want to help you.
Yeah, there's lots of families out there that don't help. I was in Mexico at the hospital with my sister because
your sister?
She got stung by a stingray.
Oh my god.
So her foot got all swollen and crazy. It was weird. They gave her antibiotics and antihistamines and it went down, so it was okay. But there was this girl there who had fallen and she was on vacation all alone, and she got this giant gash in her head. And I don't know. But so these random people from her resort had come with her just so she didn't have to be alone, which I was like, that is so sweet.
That is very nice.
But she was calling her parents because the way the healthcare system works is you pay for it before they do it, and then your travel insurance reimburses you. So they wanted $5,000 to stitch up her head. It was like from the halfway, like all around her eyebrow.
Her parents wouldn't pay, would she?
No, her family, like she called all of her family and they were like, what the hell do you want? And I was like, I'm like, my family is not always supportive, but I don't think they've ever asked me what the hell do I want.
That's so sad.
Like I couldn't believe it.
It's something that you don't realize, like, family is so important for every person.
Exactly. And then there's so many that aren't supportive. So it's good for us to know those connections so we can connect families with those.
For other resources. Totally.
Yeah. Wow. I definitely see that as an important.
Very important.
For example, how you would do that. So if we notice things in the family, like if we notice they're struggling with food, or if they mention, like say the kid's always hungry, we could be like, hey, are they eating at home? And then if they mention
the child's not bathed.
Yeah.
The child has dirt on them. They're wearing the same clothes.
If we talk to the parents about that and they're like, oh, I'm having trouble with this, we can be like, listen, why don't you talk to these people and they'll help you out with that, or with food, or with bathing.
We have to be careful how we do that too, because we don't want to sound like we know everything, but we also don't want to sound like they're not doing the best job as a parent. So that's a touchy subject.
I feel like it's not something you can just be like, listen, I think you should go talk to the food bank because you're not feeding your children.
That you do this.
But like, I would almost be like, hey, we noticed he's really hungry, like how much is he eating at home?
So just being sincere.
Yeah, and then maybe like if they bring up like we're having some troubles with having enough money for food, then we could be like, oh, well, there's this food bank, or I think all of our suggestions have to come in response to whatever the parent or the child is telling us. It can't just be unsolicited advice.
Right, which we don't want to do.
Because I think the only reason we should ever be doing unsolicited things and it's not straight to the parent, it's to children's aid. Like if there's abuse
Oh, yeah.
or neglect,
for sure.
that would be the
When
only
there's marks
time.
and bruises,
Yeah,
or the child's arm is broken.
yeah, that would be the only
That's
time I
where-
would say don't go to the parents and just call.
Oh, we've learned that with Tanya.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Observe for early signs of excessive and cumulative stress in children. Watch for the withdrawn child. What for child is more? Oh, so this was talking what Tanya was talking about today, like looking and seeing, like that physical in the morning, like how are they, what they normally look like.
Yeah. Just
how's
a
their-
quick like glance, but as in the early educator or registered early educator ECE, they know quickly if the child is not themselves or themselves.
Because even in that quick check, like if you notice things that could,
Temperature, fever,
yeah,
the
but
eyes
even not
and the
physical
pupils.
like
That's
because if they're just like if their temperament totally changes one day, and they're not like sick or anything, you could be like something's going on, like that kid's stressed out for some
Yeah.
reason, like is there something going on?
How they're walking into the door. Are they bouncing and
Right.
excited? Are they holding onto mom's leg? Are they tired?
Right.
Why are they tired? Have they not slept?
I think you can also keep track of this with what parents tell you, like, oh, they had a rough night, like they didn't sleep well, and then maybe they had a fight with a kid at school, and like that cumulative stress through the day can lead to bigger issues later in the day.
Yeah, that's very true too. That's
Cool.
important too.
Teach strategies to help children handle undue stress before they find themselves in highly stressful situations.
Oh man, that's huge. I just
Well, I
don't
think
know if
about like, whenever we had a code word when I was a kid, and I don't remember this. I just heard stories about it.
Oh.
It was hamburger. So if we ever needed to get out of a situation, and we didn't know how, like you needed to call mom or dad and be like,
Right.
I need to be picked up now.
You say hamburger.
You say hamburger.
To who though? Like at the educator?
No,
or
no.
like a friend?
So I would call them and be like, hey, can we have hamburgers for dinner tomorrow? And they'd be like,
Oh.
I'll be right there. And that would be the end of the conversation, and then they would show up.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so it's like it's a strategy to, or
To
like
say you need help, but you don't want to show everyone else.
exactly.
That
Or I
is
guess a good
absolutely
strategy, like if
awesome.
we're taking them on a field trip, be like, if you get lost, go and talk to one of the staff at the place that we're at, and they'll take you to, or be like, or if we get separated, we'll meet at this spot.
Yes, I remember.
And
doing
with
that
really
when I
young
was
children,
younger.
that's not going to work as well. So it's probably best to be like, look for someone in the blue shirt who works here,
Yeah.
and they'll help you.
Okay, that's what you
So I
mean.
feel like that's an important thing to do because
For sure.
those situations
'Cause it's-
can be really stressful.
Yeah.
And if they know how to handle them ahead of time, then they're going to
They'll
handle them much better.
way better. That actually is really common for like you said, for field trips. I never even thought of that. Or even just losing your kid in the grocery store. You know how
Yeah.
like traumatic that is for the kid? It's like, where's mommy? Where's mommy? Where's mommy? Or where's daddy? And then
Yeah.
eventually, of course, you find them like instantly.
Yeah.
But sometimes it feels like it was forever. I remember
Uh-huh.
that as a kid. I think I got lost on the like cracker section.
Aw.
So yeah.
All right.
That's
The next
interesting.
one's respect children's viewpoints about situations as well as their coping modalities.
Okay. When she
Maybe they
was-
see something as more stressful than it is. So like, my little cousin always gets really upset whenever her sister won't play with her.
Okay.
Because she thinks it means something more. Like she doesn't like her, she doesn't love her, she hates her.
I know kids just really go right to the top of their.
Yeah. So I think
If someone doesn't want to play with you.
and then so like and they're coping, like she usually separates herself, and like so I think in that case you could be like, hey, I see you're handling this really well, like you're doing really good with this, or your coping strategies. I don't know that I would tell a 6-year-old that coping strategies are good, but I'd be like,
They'll be like, "What are you talking about?"
you did so good by taking a break when you were upset.
Yes, that's
Um,
good. Or you took initiative, or
I don't
no,
know.
that's too big a word. You took your ideas, or like you took yourself out of
A
oh my gosh,
situation
a
you couldn't
situation
handle.
you couldn't handle, maybe.
Yeah. And then even like respecting I think by respecting, you could be like, yeah, I see how you could feel that your sister might not like you if she did that.
Go to their level.
And then kind of, I think it's that connect and direct.
Just correct.
Connect and direct. So connect and then redirect the thinking to be like, I see how you could think that, but I think she's just really frustrated and wanted some alone time. Do you think that might be possible? And usually that works.
That's good. So that worked. for
Yeah.
your cousin. That's good.
Mm-hmm. Convey to children that they do have self-control and can practice positive self-talk in tense situations. Like if a kid gets really upset and be like, I can't do that. Be like, yes, you can. Within limits, of course.
Would this have to do with self-regulation and how they're going to self-regulate?
Yes.
Okay, so if this is a preschool room, you could say, would you like to go sit down
Mhm.
and read a book? Would you like to go lay on your nap bed, comfy area? Would you like to paint something
Yeah.
to distract them from what they were upset by? But
Yeah.
then for them to calm down in a different way that's maybe physical or not physical.
Yeah. I think the one of the scenarios I saw in my orientation, not the orientation, the observational visit we did in first semester, one of the little girls got really, really upset, and so the educator offered to pick her up and hold her, and then she just like started flailing.
Oh, wow.
And so the educator took her over to a mat and set her down beside her, and she knelt down beside her and said, "You're okay. You're in a safe place to let your emotions out. I'm here if you need me."
That's so nice.
And I was like, that's a really good way. Like, you need to you were doing good at letting your emotions out. I'm here if you need me. You've got the skills to handle
Instead
this.
of someone keeping her and holding her there the whole time going, oh, it's okay, and like trying to cuddle her, but she needs that space.
Yeah, she needed space. So I think
saw the opposite in my observational
Oh,
visits.
yeah?
Yeah. A little boy fell on the carpet, I think it was, bumped his head, or like tripped or something. And then the EC just grabbed him like right away and started holding him and almost like started rocking him. I'm like, okay, he's 2.5, okay, but anyways, he's like crying and he's trying to get out of her hands. Like he's throwing his hands. He had a toy. He threw the toy, and then she just got really mad at him and did not go to his level and did not. It was the complete opposite of your story. So it was interesting to see very different ways how people handle children. And she was maybe a little bit older than us, but still, it's just like, okay. So I would have handled that a lot differently.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's because we just came out of like learning new things, or maybe that was just she had a bad day and he was tired, he didn't sleep. I don't know all those things, but there's definitely things I would have done very differently.
They could have also had like maybe he
has,
like loses it and like he needs to be restrained kind of thing, like because they do have those special behavior plans for kids who need them.
So you have to hold the kid down?
I don't know, it really depends. So when you make a behavior plan, the way it works, my stepmom does it with the school board. So it's done through conference with the teacher, the parents, and an outside educator. So like my stepmom will come in and figure out like what's the best plan to work, like how do we help this behavior get better, and then like she teaches them the skills that they need to use during the scenario.
Interesting.
So like with violent kids in school, she'll teach them how to restrain them properly without hurting them.
Right. Legally too.
Yeah, so but they have this whole big process of how to do it.
For daycares, do they? Or
I think that's done, like if you have to do something like that, I think it's done through 5 counties, not through the school board.
Okay.
Because my stepmom works through the school board and daycares aren't covered under that.
Okay, then that would be.
But Anne mentioned they had someone from 5 counties come in for the behavioral plan.
Yes, that's right. So it sounded like a certain couple of children will have that one-on-one with her or whoever the person.
I don't think restraining is used very often.
Didn't think they
unless
used that either. Yeah.
Absolutely necessary. Like the only time I've ever heard my stepmom ever say like they had to restrain someone is when they were either trying to
harm another child,
or an educator or themselves.
Wow.
And they needed to be restrained so that they did not hurt anyone else or themselves.
Wow. Gosh, that's scary.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't know if we'll see that, but you never know.
Yeah. All right. Encourage children to view themselves in a more positive light. No one likes me. I'm so dumb. I knew everyone would laugh at me. I think the important part about this is not to just say, no, you're not dumb, because that's like invalidating their feelings. I think that connect and redirect that Susan was talking about is really important. Like I can see how you could feel that. But I like look at all these things. Like you did this so well and you did this so well, so you can't be dumb if you did all those things great, can't you?
So true. Redirect their thinking and show them something they've done that was really well done or what they really enjoyed. And maybe just say, if you didn't like doing this, maybe you want to do this because you liked it.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Yeah.
that's a sad word to hear, dumb.
Mm-hmm.
Kids do say it though.
Yeah. All right. Instruct children in specific relaxation techniques and imagery. That is a great one. They're starting to use meditations more in school, which I think is amazing because
Really? Like yoga?
yeah, like yoga and quiet times and
wow, that's amazing.
like relaxation techniques and just like it's
well, deep breathing would be under this for sure.
yeah, absolutely.
And Maureen talked a lot about how her children can do that and they
Yeah.
enjoy it.
I saw a documentary about how they were including it in schools and how it decreased their behavioral issues and their stress
Really?
factors. It was really cool.
You'll have to send that to me. That's
Mhm.
cool.
All right, so we like that one.
That's
one's
a
great.
good one.
We're
And I
definitely
have to
gonna
say,
use that
when
one.
I was in school, they did not care for this at all. I think there was a comfy spot, but I don't think it was for, okay, to relax and, you know, take your chill pill.
Yeah,
It was more like, just be quiet.
yeah.
Yeah, it's very different now.
I definitely think that's something we should work into.
This is really good, though, for sure.
Mm-hmm. All right. Teach
Okay.
children the power of being an effective decision maker, thereby supporting the development of executive functioning. Small choices involve them in solving real, genuine problems. That makes sense. Do you want to eat the pasta or the cheese first? Do you want to wear the red coat or the blue coat?
Decisions. Let them decide what they would like to wear, do.
And then work up to like, should we eat at Harvey's or McDonald's? Or should we eat chicken or beef? Up to like, how can we make this tower not fall over?
Yeah,
Because I think by starting little, you can really work.
You make them really think what they actually want.
Mm-hmm.
And then maybe if they said the word that they didn't want to say, then they'll realize, oh, I don't want to do that.
Right.
Because I don't know if you've done this before, or you've heard a child where they're like, you'll ask them a question and you didn't say it very like slow, fast, and they'll instantly know what they think they want, but then they're like, oh no, I want the other one.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know sometimes if I should give them the other one right away or be like, well, you said this one, so I'm sorry you have to have this purple popsicle instead of the orange one. I don't know. I had to give it to her, but I'm thinking like, I don't know if I just helped her learn that or if I just gave her what she wanted. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's definitely hard to figure out.
So that's such a simple example though. Like, but imagine you're like, I want to go to bigger questions, Wonderland and SeaWorld or whatever.
Yeah.
Like those are very expensive places to go to, so you better make sure what one you want to. But anyways, yeah, I don't know. I think that's harder than it sounds.
It definitely is harder than it sounds.
Because
But it definitely
kids are
builds their
indecisive.
yeah. It builds their self-concept though and their confidence, and their
That's
self-esteem.
Or it's like, oh well, Amelia or whoever has this pink one. Why can't I have that pink one? And there's no pink one left.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of kids want to be the same.
Mm-hmm.
So it's good to show it's okay to be different. It's okay if you wear this dress or this dress. Or, so yeah, it's very interesting.
Provide children with many opportunities to do things for themselves. Maureen was talking about this, how they try to get kids to zip their zippers and do their own boots. They make them try before.
I never
giving them
realized it
help.
was part of motor skills to think, oh, I'm zipping up my zipper or I'm putting my right foot in my right boot, because a lot of kids will do the opposite.
Mm-hmm.
But then they'll want to wear them like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm definitely not going to lie. I was the one who would be like, okay, let's switch those shoes back. Because I'm so nervous for tripping or like, I don't know.
But the giving them the opportunity
But I should have
to do
let
it.
them trip, I guess, so they remembered not to put the boot on the left foot.
No, I think it's okay to tell them to switch the shoes because they've got it on wrong.
Yeah.
I think that it's the putting on the shoes themselves that's the important part.
Yes, no, I definitely let her do that. I was happy. She was so happy to do that too.
Mm-hmm. Provide additional support for children who have chronic or potentially life-threatening diseases, e.g. cystic fibrosis or cancer, but do not overprotect them.
Oh, that's a tough one.
That is hard.
Like, I don't really know of a child who has had this, but I feel like you see it in society where as soon as you see someone even in a wheelchair, you want to jump and grab that door for them.
Mm-hmm.
Or she doesn't have hair, so you're like holding, I don't know if you do this, or you're like, oh my gosh, I'm so happy I have my hair, and you like hold your own hair. I think it's part of being human nature, just always wanting to try to help the other person.
Yeah. I think what we have to remember with that is that
But you have,
even if they've got something different, they're still capable and competent.
and they're their own person and they're their own citizen, and we can't let that change.
Yeah.
I'd be curious to know if there's any children with like cystic fibrosis in our placement. That means you
Do you
can't.
know what that is?
Is that where their muscles are like they're not growing properly and
That's
it's,
muscle dystrophy.
but you have to be careful they're not physically rough or something. So maybe I don't know.
You
what
do
this
have to do
is.
something about
You have to be
physically rough with
careful with
cystic
that,
fibrosis.
right?
Cystic fibrosis is when your lungs fill with mucus.
Oh, it's
because
asthma
it's-
stuff then.
No, it's an autoimmune disease.
Oh.
So your body's attacking itself and filling your lungs with mucus.
Oh my gosh.
So you drown
Do you
from
know
the
who
inside.
has someone like this?
No, I just
Oh,
know
you
what
just-
it is.
Well, your mom's a nurse, so that
Yeah. Yeah, so we didn't like you would have to provide additional support, but like you still have to let them.
And like
do
it
things.
says cancer here. Like, do you think a child would be in a daycare, or if like I was just surprised that they wrote cancer here.
Well, their parents probably still have to work to pay for the treatments.
Yeah, that's true. I never thought of that actually. Okay.
Like I imagine the parents would take the time off when they were doing the treatments, like if they needed them
Yeah.
home. But for the most part, like it's like with I guess it depends on the
It
type of treatment.
It depends on
Because
the
some
type
of the
cancer,
treatments,
too,
like
yeah.
it only makes you feel yucky for an hour or
Yeah,
a day.
or it's months.
Yeah, so I guess it really depends.
Yeah. Okay. I was just surprised by that.
Mm-hmm. Explain to children about the concept of bouncing back from setbacks.
Children understand they cannot make themselves completely vulnerable. Oh, so like if they fall, you don't want them to be. Or you don't always want to say, "Oh, you'll be okay."
Be like, oh,
But
that
then-
looked like it really hurt. Are you okay to move on, maybe?
Do you want some ice?
Yeah, and then, but maybe not focusing on it all day.
No, that's
Being
right.
like, yeah, you did cut your knee this morning, but now we're doing this. Is it feeling better now? Great, let's go do this now. Like
Distraction. That makes sense, though. Yeah.
But like making sure that they're not just focusing on the negatives and returning back to that.
Okay, that would be that's important for sure because they
Yeah.
could be really focusing on like, oh my gosh, I really hurt my knee. I just want to sit down, and then their energy might just not be there anymore to play.
Oh, absolutely.
All right. 14. Provide support for children coping with death and loss. Oh man, this is huge, I guess.
We talked about this a bit in Mary Lou's class when
Yeah.
Amanda brought up her niece.
Niece
Yeah.
lost her dad when she was 2.
Yeah, so that she talked about not using words like passed on or lost or gone
And-
away.
But used the word daddy's dead.
Yeah.
And she would say that though to others. And it
Mhm.
sounded odd for someone to hear that from a 2-year or 4-year-old or however old she was at the time. But that's her way of coping. My daddy's dead.
Yeah, because you wouldn't tell an adult, oh, your friend just went away.
Or passed.
They'd be like, well, when are they
Or-
coming back?
Exactly. Kids are always going to wonder that. They're curious.
And so you should,
You have to tell them, and even if it's hard.
yeah, and you still have to provide the support for them just the same as you would for an adult, and probably even you need to provide them more support than you would an adult, but you need to treat them
A little
like
bit
a competent, courteous
Yes.
citizen.
And someone who has lost someone will also be playing dead a lot. Remember, she would lay on the floor
Mhm.
and she'd be like, I forget her name, but she'd be like, what are you playing? I'm dad.
Yeah.
And that was normal for her because that's how she coped with her dad's loss.
Mhm.
I'm going to say that my cousins did not do this, but I think maybe it's because she was younger,
Mhm.
the death. But I think also my cousins saw their mom like not in a good state.
Mhm.
But still, like I think they should have had more counseling and more help. But I think my uncle at the time was just so overwhelmed himself.
Mhm.
It's hard to know, like, are your kids actually okay mentally, or are they just holding all this in? So I'm curious even now. Like, we hardly get to see them.
Mhm.
So
I definitely think that's something I want to work on because I'm not sure
I'm curious to know about this. for
how
sure.
to provide that support and what support to provide.
Yeah, you can't always just say, "Oh, it's okay. Just go to the counseling."
Yeah.
Because kids don't always there's got to be different ways and like
Mhm.
We should look into that actually, maybe. Not
Yeah.
that we think we're gonna see someone, but
We
death
probably
happens.
will in our career.
In our career. I don't know about our placement, but like death happens fast. You have no idea when someone's gonna be there or not. So.
Exactly.
Sad.
Mm-hmm. Confer with family members to coordinate strategies and diminish the effects of adversity. I was thinking, my mom told me this story one time. So my parents are separated.
Right.
And so I would often get upset when I had to go to my dad's or come back from my dad's.
Oh, okay.
So she said I think it was my grade 6 teacher, she could always figure out when it was that weekend because she's like, something's off with her, like she just needs some extra time. And so if my mom was off, and if I was off, she would call my mom and be like, hey, can you come take her? And like she would come get me and do like a movie day or like just do something with the two of us so that I could kind of reset.
Nice.
So
before you actually went home.
Yeah, so like if she noticed I was really struggling that day, she would call my mom to see if she had the time or the ability to come, for someone to come and get me and go and do something with it.
That's amazing of your teacher.
It was.
Gosh, like that is not their job, and she went above and beyond.
But that
just
should
for
be
your mental.
That
health.
should be their job. Because if they notice that kid isn't coping well in school,
that's their job. Yeah. Okay. I guess I don't think I saw my teachers ever do that for anyone.
No, I don't think any of my other teachers did, but I remember my mom telling me about that one teacher that did.
Wow, she was an amazing person.
Yeah, she was. I met her again when I was in grade 10 or 11, and she remembered me, and I was
That's
like,
amazing.
you remember me?
Just like the principal.
Yeah, it was really cool.
Yeah, it's a small world out there.
Mm-hmm. Seek information about community resources and the resources available at your school or your agency that can be brought to bear. We talked about this in the last one, like how we thought it was really important to use
other resources
besides
besides the daycare. So we said, what did we say?
Children's aid, food bank,
library, possibly if churches, if they're nearby. Healthy Smiles, even secondhand clothing.
Yeah.
Tlees.
I think those are all really good.
They are, and I guess you never know what family needs the help, and you never know when the family needs the help.
Yeah.
Like you never know. So you can't judge a family until you know the family, I guess, or you should never judge. I mean, but yeah, I think as humans though we do that sometimes.
Yeah. So we're supposed to identify and describe which skill strategies we would employ. We've been early checking. Okay, so I think we talked about how we would employ them all with different children. I think I really want to work on the death and loss one, so I'm going to do some research about that.
That's a huge one I think I'd like to look at too, but I can also pick another one.
You don't have to. We don't have to make a goal for this one. I was just picking one that I liked. Not that I liked, but that I thought I should work on.
Or like just maybe more about like the mental health. Like it's just shocking to me, I guess, that kids can feel these ways in different times. And then like I was saying about the mental health, when we watched like that video from Susan's class, the whole time I kept thinking of my cousins. It's not like they were in poverty, but it was just, I don't know, I feel like I haven't seen them in so long. I must be like, hey guys, how are you doing? Like, just to hear their voice again.
Yeah.
So, yeah, loss is really not, I don't know how they deal with it. I had a hard time dealing with it, and she's not even my mom.
Yeah.
But she was the aunt that I would call when I was upset, or she was the aunt that I would call that, oh my gosh, this just happened, like something great.
Right.
Or she was the aunt where I'm like, oh my gosh, like I just want to have someone to talk to. She was also a counselor, and she was trying to she just had a lot of knowledge with like talking with kids, and she also worked at what's it called? Canadian, we just talked about it. Children's Aid.
Okay.
Yeah. So I've heard some interesting stories from her.
That's amazing.
Any other goals?
I think we answered all the things. So
it'll be interesting to put these goals and practices into our placements.
Yes.
And curious to know what goals and what things we can do and how we're going to look at the children.
It will definitely be interesting. And to like see what kind of, like to meet the children and figure out what they need
to see the parents. We'll be there bright-eyed and early at 7 a.m. Not next Monday, but the Monday after.
All right. Cool. Okay, bye, Susan.
Bye, Susan. Hope you enjoyed this podcast.